Welcome to the Education Innovators Podcast. I'm Eric Byron, and it is my privilege to host this show where I get to talk to folks from all over the world who are education thought leaders and innovators. We'll hear inspiring stories from educators, EdTech founders, AI experts, and others who are fearlessly innovating and delivering unique learning experiences. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. I recently had the opportunity to participate in a hackathon, and I was mentoring students for the hackathon, I should say. And this was here in Hong Kong, and it got me thinking about the learning experience there. And, for all those involved, me included. So the event I attended was a mini hackathon, and we call it a mini hackathon because it wasn't like a full weekend. It was a single Saturday afternoon, about 6 hours long, with a small group of students. Very intimate kind of small hackathon. So it was titled How to Hack Your Music Web3 Game Mini Hackathon. And it was held at Cyberport in the Web3 lab. So I want to break this down a little bit, just make sure we're using the same terminology here. So what is a hackathon, and why I think it might be an effective learning experience for you to include in your toolbox as a teacher. So in general, a hackathon is this kind of rapid prototype to develop a product, or maybe solve a problem, or address a need in some specific area. And the area that you're working in, the context of the hackathon, is generally set by the sponsors. So in this case, our sponsors were, and this was a music theme. So it was Sound Beats and Force, I think is how you say that. So two different sponsors, both with kind of their own, agenda here, if you will, right? They wanted the students to use their products and services, become familiar with their products and services in the course of participating in this hackathon. So an ulterior motive maybe, but I think this is perfectly fine. The students can still learn and everybody wins. Okay. So don't get hung up on the fact that it's sponsors. And anyway, the students, and this is true in most of the hackathons I participated in, right? These groups that participate, the teams are usually about 3 to 5 people. They get some criteria from the sponsors that talk about, how they're going to be rated, right? What product they deliver, their output from the event. And then there's multiple awards, best team, best creative idea, whatever. But there's always one team that is the winner of the hackathon. And part of that is sometimes means, if you win the hackathon, that you get some support, right, for continuing to develop whatever it is that you were working on during the hackathon. And just a couple of examples of that, Twitter actually started out in a hackathon, went on to become pretty big. There was another one called GroupMe that came out of a hackathon, and in a short time afterwards, with some support, right, because they won, they continued to develop it, and Skype bought it for $80 million. All right, so I know this is rare occurrences within the hackathon thing, but it's not the expectation, right? When you sign up for a hackathon or participate in a hackathon, you're not expecting, a year from now I'm going to have $80 million, exit. But dreams are powerful, and optimism is encouraged. Okay, so anyway, that's my thing on sponsored hackathons and just participating. So why do I think this is a learning experience, and what skills might we be developing by participating in a hackathon? So there's several here, so I'm going to just bear with me. I'm going to go through this. So I think that a hackathon, and I like this idea of students participating in hackathons, because it really emphasizes rapid creativity, right? And development, right? You should be producing something, even in a short 6-hour one. And there's this concept from the video game industry called fail fast, fail cheap. And a hackathon is kind of a classic example of that. Really fast, produce something. If it's good, invest some more in it. If it didn't work out, throw it away, right? Try something else. The other thing that I think kind of psychologically happens here too is you really have to focus, right? You don't have time to overthink your solution, you know, overanalyze. You just got to go. And to be successful, you have to focus on the primary objective. So what is it that's going to win this hackathon? What are they looking for? In this case, it was a music rhythm game is what they wanted. And they were very clear up front about that. And, you know, it was kind of a Japanese anime style. They were also hoping for that came from the second sponsor. Anyway, so the best teams in this case, you know, they really have to have it just an intense collaboration and diverse skills. You can't produce something really, really quickly without the right skill sets right there in the room with you. So typically this means somebody with software development skills. Most of these, you know, well, it's hackathon, right? So you think about it as coding. Okay. So you need a coder in the room. That really, really helps. Although AI can do quite a bit for you, but you need somebody who can debug any code you get from AI. You also need a designer, UX experience, maybe, possibly a specialized technical skill. A lot of these hackathons really want to leverage particular technology, whether it's AI or blockchain or something like that. And so you may need to have some of that expertise available on your team. And sometimes you need an artist, somebody who can make things pretty and do the graphics for, in this case, they were making a game, right? So you definitely needed somebody with some artistic ability there. All right. In a 6-hour hackathon now, honestly, I think just coming up with a feasible concept within 6 hours, it was a pretty good output already. But these teams that participated in this one recently all produced something. So they didn't just come out with a concept. They all attempted at least to prototype and demonstrate what it was they were trying to do. And this was impressive to watch. I mean, these people just came together and just started hammering in one afternoon to try and get this done and to incorporate this music rhythm, component into their design. So there's a bunch of these soft skills that get exercised and developed doing a hackathon. So I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, rapidly try and develop a product. So I got critical thinking, problem solving, communication, right? Collaboration within the team, curiosity. What is this music rhythm tool thing that the sponsor wants me to use, right? Creativity, of course. Or in this case, they're making a game. So it also occurred to me that as I was writing that out, that this is almost the list of skills that the World Economic Forum put out in their future jobs report. So I went back and I looked for the latest, and I put a link in the show notes to the 2025 future jobs report from the World Economic Forum. So you can look for that there. I think the other thing that's interesting dynamic in this, right, is it's a bit stressful. You're under this really tight deadline. You want to win. You got to get all this stuff done so fast, but they're almost always fun. I see people smiling and laughing and having a good time, and that's great. That really, really helps. And, as a mentor, it was also fun for me because I got to engage with these students and I talked to each of the teams and, let them kind of tell me a little bit about their concept early on, what they were, kind of thinking about doing at that point. They'd be testing a little bit. Do they have what they need to actually deliver something like that? I gave them some advice on game design principles and how to constrain their scope to something they could actually accomplish within 6 hours. So all of the teams at the event, this particular event, seemed very self-sufficient. They were equipped and they had technical skills, and I didn't see any of the other mentors either really rolling up their sleeves and getting in there to help them solve problems. So really a great group. Conclusions here. Don't be afraid to leverage a hackathon as a learning experience for your students. Okay, you'll be amazed at how creative and quickly they can develop something. It is truly amazing what can be done in a very, very short period. So, and, incentives, right? Belief, encouragement, that stuff is also really important here. You got to let the students believe that they can deliver something in that amount of time, and they'll go. I also like, of course, when we do games, right? So we let the students develop a game concept. I think that's really good. It's hard, right? It's not easy to develop a game and the mechanics, and it's a great exercise and learning experience, and the kids love it, right? They enjoy games. The idea of creating a game, they're going to be all in on that. So anyway, and you never know. Your students may come out of a hackathon with a viable product or business model. It is possible. I don't expect them to come out with the next Twitter, but who knows, right? Let them go. Okay. So that's it. Yeah. Have fun with the hackathons. It's a great way to get the students involved and engaged and exercising those skills, which we've all been talking about as so important, right? Human skills that we need in an AI powered world. So have fun doing a hackathon. I'm Eric Byron. Thanks for listening to the Education Innovators Podcast. I hope you're enjoying this, and please, if you are, hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss the incredible lineup of episodes I've got coming. I've got some guests with amazing stories of innovation education that you just don't want to miss. So thanks again to all those education innovators out there. Keep doing what you're doing. You are making a difference.